子。
What is up, my fellow viewers? This is Kazuya Otaku, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about Kanojo Okarishimasu, the anime series that is currently on its second last episode for the first season once this video comes out. And I've seen quite a bit of hate about it on Reddit, on Mal, and also on some YouTube videos. What's interesting though is that the hate is not directed towards its story or towards the world itself or the different themes this series tries to convey, but for the main character, Kazuya Kinoshita. Therefore, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about this anime and also try to explain the reasons as to why I believe Kazuya is not that bad as a main protagonist as some may believe. As per usual, this video will contain spoilers for the first season of the show, but also some light spoilers from the manga that the anime does not cover in its first season. I'm currently up to date with the latest chapter of the manga, but no worries. If you have not read the manga, I'll give you guys a warning later on so that you have some time to click off the video once I start covering the reading materials. So, without further ado, let's get on to it. So this anime starts off with our main protagonist, Kazuya Kinoshita, a college student that got dumped by his girlfriend, Mami Nanami. Totally devastated by the breakup, he decides to rent a girlfriend through a rental mobile app as a mean to ease the pain. Her name is Chizuru Mizuhara, a youngster with great looks and a caring personality. Despite her appearance, she does have some mixed opinions from her clients on her profile, and Kazuya believes she's just toying with men's feelings and decides to give her a bad rating after his first date. Upset with the way Kazuya treated her, she reveals her true self, being sharp and overall harsh to the ones she dislikes. However, in the midst of the argument, Kazuya receives a call about his grandma's health condition and rushes to the hospital along with Chizuru. Despite not being anything serious, Kazuya's grandma is overjoyed that there's still hope for his grandson's romantic life, which had always been her dream. Kazuya finds himself in a dire situation as he cannot force himself to tell the truth about him and Chizuru. Therefore, they have no choice but to act as if they were a real couple. So, we have on our hands a college youngster that decides to rent a girlfriend through an app to fill the hole in his heart from the recent rejection. On the other hand, he gets to meet Chizuru, where through a chain of events, both will have to fake a relationship for the sake of both Kazuya's grandma and also Chizuru's. Yes, because for obvious reasons this is anime and both of their grandmas know each other. Later on, Kazuya and Chizuru find out that they live in the same building right next to each other and that they also go to the same university. I mean, geez, talk about plot thickening and not coincidental whatsoever. However, despite having such a weird premise with a lot of comedic scenes, one cannot deny that Kazuya is indeed a total loser. As we see in the anime, he displays this personality of being hopeless, immature, and sometimes a straight up logger-headed individual that always screws up whenever it comes to women. For instance, we're talking about a main protagonist that cannot get over the breakup from a relationship that lasted a month, with a girl that later on shows to be this person with no empathy towards him and that seemingly only wants his attention. Kazuya, despite being rejected and blocked on social media, he still behaves like this desperate dude, thinking only about Mami, to the sad point of even masturbating in the shower, having dirty thoughts and imaginary situations with her. His pathetic and immature behavior goes on, not only with Mami, but also with Ruka, who's seemingly another rental girlfriend, with Sumi, one of Chizuru's friends that is also starting off as a rental girlfriend that will be introduced in the last episode, and of course with Chizuru herself, who ends up spending the most time with. We're talking about a weird harem brigade, simply because both Ruka and also Sumi have taken a liking to the poor Kazuya, who simply can't put his dick behind his feelings. Also, adding Mami-chan to the mix, it definitely makes things hard for this hopeless main character, because despite the fact that she rejected Kazuya, Mami does seem to be really jealous to the fact that his ex is able to get these chicks to like him, and she kinda feels that she made a huge mistake in breaking up. Talking about Chizuru, she's not in the harem brigade whatsoever. I would say she's pretty much the embodiment of waifu material. At a glance, she's caring to her boyfriends, has a rental girlfriend job because, well, she has to in order to practice for her dream of becoming an actress. Her design is unique and overall astonishing. You might think she has this cold personality, especially with Kazuya, but I believe it is justified. I mean, Kazuya is a total moron a lot of times, but it shows how much of a multi-layered character she really is. She's the best representation of how a real female character should behave, chasing her own dreams, working really hard to achieve them. She's really mature and a down-to-earth person. Nor she falls into a certain female category. Overall, she's an interesting girl I would sincerely love to hang out with in real life, because she doesn't have an over-the-top personality like you'd see in most shows. Despite her looks, she's a very caring person, as you see with her grandma, without being a pushover either, and we can testify that when she goes out with Kazuya, as we've seen in many moments of the show. She's very professional with her rental job, and it shows how well-rounded she really is. On the other hand, Ruka is introduced for the first time as Shun's girlfriend, in which she falls into Kazuya's harem brigade and does fight to become top-tier waifu material. But she simply can't, the poor girl. Ruka is this lovable and energetic young girl from high school that does whatever she can to destroy Kazuya's and Chizuru's fake relationship by cornering our hopeless main protagonist and force him into a trial / real but not really type of relationship. She does everything to appeal him and behaves, like an over-the-top girlfriend. By arguing a lot with Kazuya out of jealousy, she is however very kind and a total protective girlfriend, which any man would dream of, am I right? Yeah, totally. Sumi is, as I mentioned before, introduced in the end of the first season, and to give you a slight heads up, she's this extremely shy girl that literally is starting off as a rental girlfriend. Well, talk about the ideal job for a shy girl, am I right? But I'll leave her personality traits for the last episode of the anime. I don't want to spoil it too much for those of you who have not read the manga. Kazuya rents Chizuru a lot of times, mainly because they cannot reveal the true nature of their relationship to their grandmas and also to their friends. The show does emphasize a lot in Kazuya's internal monologue, where the viewer is able to understand his personality in a deep and complex level. Despite his liability, he's not a dumb character. He realizes how much he messes up, and also how much of a loser he really is. The inexperience and overall desperation he shows throughout the anime is, without a doubt, a frustration and cringy experience to witness. Hence the reason I have to agree when people complain about it. However, one should realize that it is the whole point of the story. A pathetic 21-year-old virgin that doesn't know how to handle relationships nor to hold a normal conversation with a person of the opposite gender without having dirty thoughts or behave like a total freak. The story itself would not be as comedic and entertaining without such character. Unlike many harem shows where the main character is boring and dense as a 10-meter thick wall that doesn't understand how many chicks he has around him crawling at his feet, here we have a guy that is unable to deal with girls and is simply a liability. He does think a lot about sexual intercourse, which is something one doesn't see too often in this type of anime, despite, being a normal thing for his age. Yes, he's a loner that rents girlfriends, yes, he's a despairing character sometimes, but, and here's where I warn those of you who have not read the manga to skip to this time you are currently seeing on your screen. You have been warned though. Kazuya does grow a lot and show that he's a very capable person later on, when he slowly starts to like Chizuru and decides to help her creating a movie in order to fulfill her dream and also her grandma's wish, who doesn't have much time left because of a terminal illness. How much effort he puts into creating the movie as a sign of love and dedication for Chizuru. The amount of work he has to put into getting the crowdfunding together, along with the people he has to talk with, it does show a clear growth in Kazuya's personality and how capable he really is. Yes, he's clumsy and still has dirty thoughts and is totally inappropriate sometimes. But despite all, he still goes out of his way in order to help Chizuru, and we can see that he finally has made up his mind as to the one he really loves. But he still has dirty thoughts though. I mean, the dude just never learns, am I right? The fact that we are currently in chapter 156 of the 4th volume, we have not seen a definitive step between our two main protagonists' relationship. On one hand, Kazuya still believes our S-tier rental girlfriend is out of his league. And yes, she kinda is in a sense, But in reality, she has also taken a liking into Kazuya for being there ready to support her whenever she needs. Unfortunately, she's simply unable to admit her true feelings towards him, and we witness a build-up for what we may see in the future, that is, the bond of these two characters. Even after all the hardships Chizuru has gone through, the rejections she got about her attempts at becoming an actress, Kazuya finally takes the role of a proper main protagonist and stands up for her when she needs the most. Chizuru, despite always showing this facade of being a very tough woman, it is clear that she's suffering from her personal problems. We start to see her weak and tender side, especially when her grandma is slowly dying in the hospital. Man, I was not crying at all when I saw that moment in the manga, okay? I wasn't. There were some ninja onions in my room or something in my eye, okay? Don't judge me. Carry on. Like I mentioned before, Kazuya shows a lot of character development throughout the manga, but unfortunately we only see a glimpse of that growth in the episode where he decides to help his friend Shun by renting Chizuru for him in order to help him cheer him up. It does show how much of a kind-hearted person he really is, and that he would go to such length in order to help others. Nevertheless, I do understand how people really dislike Kazuya. He's a weirdo, a creep, and it is interesting to see how the writer tries to describe and illustrate the whole rental girlfriend subculture in Japan. It is something that is becoming increasingly popular, where males rent girlfriends for various reasons. However, if you have seen this video from Asian Boss, you can clearly understand that many men rent girlfriends mainly because they never had one before, or because they have little to no experience with females and relationships in general, or due to the fact that they are simply too busy to do so. This goes to say that, despite what many believe, this story goes deep into what is seemingly a problem for many Japanese men. It is true that some are too busy with their professional careers, but also because many men in Japan struggle to confess or to express their feelings to females. It is for some a total culture shock, but it is quite common in Japan, hence the reason why Kazuya probably struggles for the same reasons. Of course, the writer of Kanojo does give somewhat a caricature of these social problems. But if you want to know more about it, you can check out this video made by Yuta, where he interviews people about the reason as to why Japanese don't like to date. Overall, I believe that despite having weird and not so good people in the show, like Mami-chan trying to manipulate Kazuya, or the example of Kazuya being an overall dense guy with girls, we can't say that there are bad characters. Every single person fills up their role pretty well, and I believe we can even relate to some of the things these characters have done. Heck, I'll admit, I've also been a horny retard in my 20s, and I had a lot of dirty thoughts, but that is simply a phase you go through. No, I was never desperate to the point of stalking someone, but still, despite having a slow start in the first season, the story does become more complex later on, and it really pays off for the build-up of the first season. To be bluntly honest, I'd rather have a story of characters that present their flaws and behave in a more human and natural way than having unrealistic characters with generic personalities. Of course, I'm referring to this type of shonen/comedy/romance type of anime. It gives more life to the plot, and we can let ourselves feel immersed with such characters and story. Hence the reason I believe this series is freaking entertaining and exciting to watch. I really enjoy it because it is really addictive, and I can relate to a lot of things I did when I was younger, and it reminds me of my days with my romantic adventures back when my hormones were bouncing left and right. I'm not that old either, but living crazy romantic phases in life does make us feel somewhat nostalgic. On top of that, we have an anime with neat animation and a plot that is quite faithful to the events that occur in the manga. The studios responsible for the anime, being TMS Entertainment, have an interesting background for animating other interesting shows like Dr. Stone, Real Life, Fruits Basket, and also the movies from Detective Conan and many more. I don't have any specific information about a second season, however, I can almost guarantee that we may be rewarded with a continuation to this story. Personally, I'm really looking forward to, because the story becomes so much more interesting later on, and we can witness some of the crazy and interesting events that happen in the following chapters. with more comedic scenes, more character development from all our cast, and how the story unfolds. And with this guys, my final verdict for Kanojo Okarishimasu first season will be a score of 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching today's video. It would be awesome if you guys, could subscribe to my channel and like the video in order to support the work that I do. I'll be obviously continuing uploading videos on a weekly basis for you guys, so please stay tuned for that. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to watch your daily dose of anime because it's good for your brain and heart. Take care, and I'll see y'all in the next video.